大家好，今天是2023年的4月24日。我在 Tech Radar 上找到了这么一篇的新闻，就是在讲，苹果针对他们行动装置的作业系统，就是 iOS。那下一代的 iOS 今年应该会推出 iOS 17。那这个 iOS 17呢，有可能会允许说让在欧盟的欧洲地区的使用者呢，可以不用透过他们官方的 App Store 去下载那些 APP，也就是说，我们这些 APP 的开发者呢，之后可能有办法把我们的 APP，透过第三方的应用程式商店去发布，然后安装，让使用者透过别的管道去安装在他们的 iPhone 或 iPad 上面。但是这个功能目前可能是限定在欧洲地区，而且想要让他们的 APP 可以透过其他管道被安装的这些开发者呢，他们的 APP 可能会被收取其他的费用哦。那我这边的话就是使用的这个 Bing Chat 去帮忙我去做一个简单的 summarize 哦。好，大概就是这样子。基本上就是跟我刚刚讲的差不多，我们会允许从 App Store、App Store 以外的那个来源去安装我们的 App。那这个行为叫做 side loading，就是从 other side 去 load app into the operating system space 哦，大概就是这样子。好，那当然是说只限定在 EU，其实不应该不是欧洲，他讲是欧洲，然后后面又讲 EU，所以到底是在讲欧盟区还是在讲整个欧洲，我是不确定的。反正很明显的，至少在欧洲以外的地区，很长的一段时间，我们还是没有办法去透过其他的管道去下载这个 App。好，而且他还会想要去 side loading 使用 side loading 去安装 App 的那些开发者去收额外的费用嘛。那还有一个就是说，我们在今年的 iPhone 15呢，可能就会全线采用新的这个连接孔的规格，就是 USB Type C。好，大概是这样的一个新闻啊。那我就先来念一下 summarize，然后再念一下这个新闻的本体吧。OK。So here are two versions of summary for the article. In English, the article reports that iOS 17 might allow app side loading, which means installing apps from outside of the App Store, but only in Europe. This is due to the regulatory pressure from the EU, which wants to limit the control of digital gatekeepers like Apple. The article cites Bloomberg's Mark Gurman as the source of this rumor and says that Apple might charge extra fees for developers who want to silo their apps. The article also mentions that iOS 17 is expected to be announced at the WWDC 2023 in June, and that the iPhone 15 might switch from Lightning to USB-C. Okay, here's the article. iOS 17 sideloading might only be available in Europe. Other gardens will remain walled up. Rumors of iOS 17 allow app sideloading continue to rumble on, but in the latest round of unconfirmed chatter, there's a caveat. This feature will apparently only be available in Europe and won't be coming to the US. This comes from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, a reliable authority on advanced Apple information. Speaking to the Mac Rumors podcast, Gurman said that he thinks app side loading will only available in Europe. If you not got a clue of what we are talking about, app side loading means installing apps from outside of an official app store, as you can on Mac OS, for example. It's also fairly easy to do on Android, but Apple has long-cited security and reliability concerns for wanting iPhones and iPads to be restricted to approved apps only. Extra fees. This Europe exclusively makes sense. Apple doesn't really want to add side loading, and is only doing so because of the regulatory pressure from the EU. Gurman says that Apple won't shoot themselves in the foot by adding it everywhere and will probably introduce the feature quietly and without fanfare. In addition, developers might have to pay extra if we want to their apps to be available outside of the iOS App Store, Gurman says. Don't be surprised if the feature is mentioned at the bottom of the pressure release rather than in the WWDC 2023 keynote. The Worldwide Developers Conference starts on June 5th and will be a showcase for all the software Apple is pushing out this year, including iOS 17. Gurman also adds that upgrades are expected for the Wallet and Find My apps. Analysis: Apple bows to EU pressure. If you're wondering what app sideloading has to do with EU lawmakers, the previous history here is that Apple has been coming under pressure from regulators in Europe over the issue of App Store being perceived as a monopoly run by Apple. The EU's Digital Markets Act, coming into force this summer, aims to limit the control of the digital gatekeepers. The EU will argue that Apple can't force iOS apps to go through its own App Store, whereas Apple would say that it needs the control to keep users safe and to maintain a quality experience. Apple has previously had to fight a costly legal battle against Epic over the issue of controlling in-app payments, and it will want to avoid another protracted case, which is why it now seems likely that iOS and iPadOS are going to allow apps to be installed from other sources, even if it's only in Europe. At the same time, the iPhone 15 is expected to make the switch from Lightning to USB-C. Again, this is response to EU regulations, though it's much easier to make region-specific changes to software than hardware. So the USB-C iPhone is going to appear in all of Apple's markets. 好，今天就到这边，那我们下次见喽。